Nick and Matt Show.
So Nate, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm trying to remember when Nick stayed at my house, and
It was
legit not
Ledgestone
remembering.
2017. We had Paul's truck and trailer at the time. Hunter, Thomas,
right.
and I were just casually staying with Paul during the whole thing, and so luckily you let us stay at your. Well, we stayed outside at your house, technically not inside of it. You had like 8 people downstairs. We stayed in the outside. We had the truck and trailer. So
All right. So you guys just caught up. Nate's like, I don't remember when you stayed in my house, and that's that's super funny. So all right. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it. So Nate, there's a lot of stuff going on for you right now. Besides COVID-19 and planning a huge event, you're also trying to be reelected onto the board of PDGA, the board of directors. So is there anything else going on that we should bring up later? Or are those the major things?
Yeah, I mean, running for the board and running Ledgestone is in one summer is enough, to be honest. So I really can't handle more than that, considering that I don't do this full time, even though I kind of act like it.
I was gonna say it seems like you do it full time.
So you don't do it full time, but you're saying you can't add more. Is that because last year you found out you had to tap out after running Ledgestone and Worlds? Is that like that? Which is more? Which is more work, last year or this year?
Yeah, it's tough to top last year because not only did I run Worlds and Ledgestone, but then I bid on 2021 Worlds and got that, and so I think I gave it like 2 weeks off and then went right into that bid. So last year it'll be tough to ever top that, and that's not good. So
yeah, so for sure. Nick, have you ever been out to the Ledgestone?
I have 2017.
So what was that like?
If you don't throw far, it's a very not great time. No, just kidding. I had a really fun time, actually. I thought the course was pretty fun because we just did the Urquhart Temp course back then. But I enjoyed it, actually, because in Massachusetts, we don't get to play open disc golf. And a lot of the holes there are open holes with kind of man-made OB, which we don't experience up here. So for me, it was just a cool experience to go out and actually do it. So
awesome. So let's see here. We had some people just give it, and this is the best part about doing live, Nick. We get some real-time feedback. Someone was like, hey, you might have a little bit of echo. And we'll see. Maybe I fixed it. Maybe I didn't. But we're going to continue to go. Let me know if you guys hear that. But let me ask you this, Nate. Being a public figure in disc golf, in public as you can be, I feel like in disc golf. I mean, people know Paul Macbeth. People know Ricky. You know some of the big names at Innova and Discraft. And then you have TDs. You have Steve Dodge. You've got Nate Heinold. You got some other great ones too. But being a public figure in disc golf, and I can say I'm not very public, but what we do with kids disc golf puts us out there, and doing this show puts us out there. I get roasted on YouTube all the time. Let me ask this. There's people out there, I'm sure, and I'm not really, taking too wild of a stab here, that don't really like you or your platform. And what are some of the criticisms that have come your way over all of your years of being this public disc golf figure?
Yeah, I think the biggest criticism that I have received over the years was I put a faith statement on the back of my caddy guide one year. Actually, I do that every year, so I shouldn't say 1 year. And I had I wouldn't say a lot. It was probably a small minority of criticism. Not even criticism. It was more hatred, to be honest. Which is fine. I can accept that. So I think that was putting a Christian faith statement on the back of the caddy guide. Seems pretty innocent to me, but that got me into some significant pushback. And then probably 5 years ago, I used to post more political things, and I've gotten away from that. But 2 years ago, we had an issue with a hotel where some players had been smoking marijuana, and the hotels were very unhappy with me. And they reported it to the people that helped fund the event, and it kind of ticked me off. And I posted about it. I'm just saying, if you're going to do that, do it where it's legal and on your own time.
Yeah.
And I think that got me into a lot of heat. And I said the word marijuana, not cigarettes. And at the time, I think if I had said, hey, people were smoking in hotel rooms and they were smoking cigarettes and they caused some damage, nobody would have batted an eye, to be honest. I mean, nobody wants to see hotels be damaged, but because I said marijuana, that was a trigger basically. So
yeah, that's a hot topic. But so Nick lives a couple miles away, and so do I, of the first marijuana recreational dispensary that opened east of the Mississippi in Leicester, Massachusetts, right home of Maple Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, there was cars backed up for hours, not letting people get in, and you have people driving by being like, who are these crazy hippies that want to smoke weed? And it's like, all different perspectives. That's the reality. Yep. There's all different perspectives. People want to spend their time and money however they want to spend it. And for us to share an opinion, or for you to share an opinion, yeah, you're probably going to receive criticism for that.
And I had no, what somebody does in their private time is their own thing. It was more of at the time, it wasn't legal in Illinois, and it definitely wasn't legal in a hotel room. And those hotels support the event through the local convention bureaus. And I let my frustration go to Facebook, and there were hundreds of comments. I mean, it was shocking, to be honest. So
it's insane that people would comment kind of against that. It's like, hey, this hotel helped you guys out. You're not doing the right thing by that hotel, and yet you're going to get mad at Nate for making a post about it. Like, that's just, that's comical to me.
Well, one day, Nick's the nice guy on the show.
Sometimes.
And he doesn't say too many things to tick people off. And
don't wear headphones during tournament play.
That's his strongest hot take. Don't wear headphones during tournament play. And so because of that, he's like, I'm surprised people get ticked off. Just wait till one day he does. He just blasts someone, and then he's like, whoa, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't have to happen.
So thanks for sharing that with us. So kind of maybe in the same vein as that, what is something that you believe is probably misunderstood about you? So like, you think in a general sense, you get a feeling that they're misunderstanding. I say I just mean in a general audience way of all the disc golfers in the world. Like, what might be the most misunderstood thing about you?
Probably two things. One, Paul and I are actually friends. So there's kind of this running joke that Paul likes to, play on, that he hates me, and it's kind of funny to see it on Facebook. But Paul and I are actually pretty close. So, but I think it's funny that some people think that Paul hates me. In fact, that's hilarious. So, so that's kind of a comical thing. But on the serious note, I think when people see me at Ledgestone, throughout the year, they probably have asked me a question if they're playing. And if I think I can come across as very busy or in a quick, I need to get going. If I'm doing something at Ledgestone, which is I am 21 hours a day, I'm on a mission. And some players, they have time to do whatever they want. They want to stop me and talk to me, and I just don't have the time to do that. And so I think some people probably think I'm abrasive at Ledgestone, but it's really that I'm that busy that I don't even have time to say hi, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. 2017, I went and stayed a week at his house, and he doesn't even remember me. So you can just tell it's a busy work week for him.
So that it's just one of those things, being in the public. And I'm speaking from, I'm not going to go through the history of my life, but my life was kind of on a pedestal in a lot of ways. And it's just constantly to be a politician. Now, hey, how do you feel like there's the things that correlate here to being a politician? The word election. I mean, do you feel like you have to come off as a very balanced person, or do you just speak exactly what you feel in a I guess I would say a strategic way, just because you've learned that? or do you have to like pull back and say things that you think people will like?
Um, I used to speak my mind a lot more when I was younger. I've learned to keep certain things to myself for sure. Nowadays I feel like I could say the wrong thing and get sued. So,
True.
so it's really better for me to speak when I have something really important to say, but I still fail at that. When it comes to COVID or politics or anything, I haven't posted a lot of things, but when I see something bad enough, I have no problem speaking out and calling out whoever it is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's super important, at least this is what I've experienced in my life. It's super important that just because of opposition or conflict that we don't sit back if we believe something. Now, to say something doesn't mean that we're right. And I think is if you're in a good place, that's something that everyone should bring to a conversation. Like it doesn't mean I'm right, but this is what I believe and I need to speak on it. So that's good. I think in my uh I don't know if I'd say it's probably my college years. I used to be very vocal too. I loved the conversation. Like I was talking about weed becoming legalized with people in a conservative circle and people were roasting me like, what are you even talking about? And so it's an interesting conversation to be had, especially in relation to PDGA.
Mhm.
So you've served on there the last 3 years is what you just said earlier. Can you tell us a little bit without names, without topics, or maybe you want to give both of those? Um, what's it like to be in a conversation with the other board of directors? Does it get high conflict levels, or is it really calm? Or what? Just kind of illustrate maybe from an insider's point of view what happens in those meetings.
Yeah, there have been, for the most part, it's very civil. We don't have, uh, most of the decisions that we make are mostly unanimous, to be honest. But there have definitely been a couple discussions that were very heated. Not that we were getting angry and shouting, but there have been some times when we definitely did not agree, and it was a big enough decision, and it took us a while to get there. And it has nothing to do with politics, and it's just more of a it's just, some people like status quo and doing the same thing, and some people want to make some changes. And, I fall on the side of making changes. So,
Mm,
So being on the board of directors, obviously you guys, talk about a lot of things. For someone who's kind of, let's say, new to the sport or new to politics in general in our sport, what do you do as a board of director? Like what are you running for, your reelection? Just give us kind of like the insights, maybe even a topic or two if you can of what you guys have talked about, changes you're making or whatever.
well, my platform that I'm running on is continuing to try to get disc golf into schools, youth and education. So that's one side of it. And then supporting the just general disc golf tour. So I think we have a lot of growth opportunity in both of those. You start with young kids, and that seems like a great opportunity. If you get disc golf into schools, you're going to have more kids playing disc golf. They're going to grow up. They're going to want to be Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki, Paige Pierce, etc. At the same time, we need to have a successful tour. We need to have majors.
Yep.
If the players are competing for hundreds of dollars, they're not going to be able to make it. And so we need them to be competing for thousands and thousands of dollars. All of a sudden, you create rivalries. You create Ricky versus Paul, Paige versus Kat, and people get interested. They buy their discs. They buy their sports cards.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that 10-year-old is interested for the next 30 years. I've been playing disc golf for 20 years. I didn't even know about the PDGA until 10 years ago. And so that's kind of, my platform per se.
Yep.
So that's interesting because I love how it actually is like falling in line almost, and I'm not trying to tie you to Steve Dodge, but like Steve was saying, he created the Disc Golf Pro Tour because he felt like there wasn't a show, if you will, for the kids to see. And to grow the sport, you got to get the kids or the youth invested. And if there wasn't that show per se, that the pros to look up to, that it wouldn't inspire the next generation. And so that's really cool, because what you're saying now is you're like, hey, I want to get it into schools because now there is a show to see. And it's important that we do that. And I think that's great. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, thanks. That's cool.
And part of what he was talking about designing the pro tour and everything like that was to have a tour so the guys could, or the pro disc golfers, guys and girls, could make a living out of it. So people aren't playing for lunch money or gas money or something like that. They can actually make a decent living or get their name out there a little bit more to have their sponsorships help them out a little bit more. So
yeah, for sure. So that's your platform. Can you tell us, I guess maybe that's really what it is, but what's the practicality of it? Like, so people listening right now are like, hey, why should I vote for you? And they think, oh, that's a nice idea. You know, he's going to try to get it into schools. Is that, I mean, the practical reason, what would you say to get people out to vote for you? Like, what's the, I don't need you to bash on other, not politicians,
candidates.
Candidates. There's the word. I don't want you to bash on them unless that's what you feel like you want to do. But why should they vote for you? What's going to happen? Yeah. What's going to happen, Nate, if they don't vote for you? I mean, and let's say crazy, you get bumped out. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I do worry about the tour and touring players. It's not that the rest of the board doesn't care about those things, because they do, really. I mean, Elaine King is on the board. She's a 5-time world champion. Other people care about the tour. It's just, I'm the chair of the majors committee and the NT committee. You know, I'm the one really on the board, at least, that's driving the bus for that. You know, I've hosted worlds. I'm hosting, you know, future worlds. I really probably have the most experience when it comes to the tournament direction side, fundraising side. I mean, there's no tournament in the world that raises more money than Ledgestone. And so I can bring that experience to the board. You know, I have a master's degree in business, and, you know, Elaine King has endorsed me. Justin Menichelli, who's our board president, you know, says he's voting for me. So those are the people that, you know, I'm working with a lot, and they're saying, you know, we need Nate on the board. I mean, both of them have told me that and have posted that, basically. So,
well, there's no doubt that your fundraising skills and just your drive to make Ledgestone the biggest and best tournament every single year, there's no doubt that you are the best one to do that.
Do you have a total number of how much money you've donated to charitable funds from your events? Like, just a rough number over the years? I mean,
yeah, it's around 125,000, and
wow.
we hope to give another 30,000 plus this year.
That's awesome. We had some people earlier where sometimes I put out who the guest is on the show, and we have people ask some questions, and that was one of them about donations.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome that you're doing that. Can you tell us, has your perspective changed since? So let's go timeline here. Before you were on the board of directors 3 years ago, you came onto the board of directors and you started working hard, or you were probably working hard before that, but you started working hard in a new platform in a new way. How has your perspective shifted over the past 3 years, maybe in regards to how to grow disc golf? Is it tied into the youth, or is it something different, or just what's your perspective shift over the past 3 years?
I think it's made me more confident in both of the things that I'm passionate about, which is youth disc golf and the tour. I mean, before I ran, that was kind of what I thought was the right thing, and really, you know, seeing kids at Ledgestone, seeing, you know, kids disc golf in action, I really think that's the future. If you get kids when they're young, you know, and you create those rivalries that they want to get Paul's autograph, get Paige's autograph, Ricky and Kale and those kind of people, and they want to go watch. If you just look at how many people came out to Worlds last year to watch, we had over 2,000 people, which is capacity at Eureka on the final day. That's what will grow disc golf, is getting more eyeballs, more people interested. Peoria has gone from just a small little disc golf town to being a disc golf mecca now. And there's so many new players starting. All of the courses are full. You know, COVID certainly has driven some of that. But
yeah,
I think that, you know, my perspective has just reinforced that the way to grow disc golf is to do that. The other perspective that I've gained is that I came onto the board wanting to change the world and realized pretty quickly that, you know, there's 7 people on the board and you have to work with the staff.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get this fourth, major approved, and it's just now approved at the committee level. So stuff does take time. So
Yeah. And I just want to give a shout out too because I wear I wear one hat on the show, but it's really two hats. I'm the Nick and Matt show, but I also have Kids Disc Golf because that's who I've been working with as Kids Disc Golf. That's who I am. That's who my brother is a partner, and that's who we've brought on some others to help support the team this year. What we do is try to provide competitive opportunities for the youth because, and this is just all tying together, and this is the awesome thing about disc golf is how the community works. You had someone like Steve Dodge envision the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You have someone like Nate who's seeing the importance of youth, and there's other organizations out there as well. We don't want to ignore them, but he's on the board of directors and he runs Ledgestone. He's someone who's qualified to do these things, and we believe that the competition needs to be there because Nate, you're going to introduce or you're going to help get the introduction to, hey, I just realized I'm talking to someone on the board of directors. And if he's there again, I've got his ear right now. Yeah. Listen, if you guys at the PDGA are introducing kids to disc golf at the school, that is excellent. And now we have the show that they want to watch. But we've seen at Kids Disc Golf, and this is literally why we exist. We saw this missing piece that said, where's their step from introduction to competition, or I should say to engagement beyond. If their parents aren't in the sport, they don't usually go out and play at the local park. And so when they learn about it at school, they kind of think it's a gym sport. But if we can say, hey, there's a competition for you, which is there's probably local events, which we try to inspire, but we also run the U.S. national championships. And this is where I'm getting to is you put in a bid along with our support for sure, but for Junior Worlds, which was going to be 2021, now pushed back to 2022. But I just want to say firsthand experience, Nate's practicing what he preaches. And that to me, and I'll just say it, I guess, as Kids Disc Golf, we endorse Nate fully here. So if you're listening to the show as Nick and Matt, take it for what it's worth. Yeah. If you know me as Kids Disc Golf, definitely I stand
Nick
behind
and
that.
Matt show
endorses
so Nate Heinold as well.
Oh, okay. So there we go. It's official. So we don't have to be
of people watching.
We definitely don't have to be unbiased here. So that's excellent. We're glad for you, Nate, and we appreciate what you're doing. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us? I think one of the I mean, you can tell us anything, but is there the Ledgestone Insurance Open? Can you tell us two things? What is Ledgestone Insurance? And secondly, how did the Ledgestone Insurance Open originate? What was the vision there?
Ledgestone Insurance is the agency that I, work for, with, am at, all of the above. So I kind of started when it was just in its infancy, and so I've been there now for 10 years in October. And when I first started, it was just me and my partner, and now we have, maybe, who knows, I've lost count, 20 employees. But I wanted a way to promote actually insurance to disc golfers locally. So I started an unsanctioned disc golf event in June of 2011, and it filled up quickly. And that was kind of my first taste into saying, I like doing this. And it's kind of spiraled from 105 players to 1,400 this year.
Yeah. That's insane. To go from unsanctioned to the largest payout in PDGA history.
And that was back. So we're in A tier in 2012. So I just skipped over. Back then it was allowed kind of if you had a good plan. So I went from unsanctioned to an A tier. And then in 2013, I bid on becoming a national tour event. That happened in 15. And then Steve Dodge had been trying to get the Pro Tour approved, and it fell through kind of at the last second, and he was done. And then I called him and said, hey, you need to see this through. And then that happened. So
Steve had said that it fell through a couple of times when it came to just that final voting process of it, whatever happens. He said it fell through a couple of times. So kudos to him for consistently doing that, and right back, to you as well, to push him to get that Pro Tour started. I mean, I think everyone can say at this point, everyone loves the Pro Tour, and luckily it's the only disc golf going on right now. So,
Yep.
I've always seen your support vocally through social media and in person for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and you are, well, I'm not sure. Are you an original event for the Disc Golf Pro Tour? I think there was like
Yeah,
6
actually,
originally.
yeah. And Steve has said this before, and so I'm not saying anything that's not public, but really the first 6 months of the Pro Tour, Steve and I talked pretty much every night. So we were kind of planning and designing it, and then eventually I let Steve do his thing. But I actually recruited Jeff to the Pro Tour, and then Silver Cup actually in the first year, and then I even had talked to Ray Jordan about the Majestic. So it was kind of Steve and I at the beginning. Steve's vision, 100%. But I was there with Steve at the beginning, and so I was one of the first events. Yeah.
Awesome. So can I ask, running Worlds and running Ledgestone in the same year, you said it's hard to top that as far as how much work went into that. I think obviously trying to navigate COVID this year and running Ledgestone and trying to get reelected is a lot as well. But yeah, doing both of those events, can I ask, is it in your personality that like it's just something in you as a driven, ambitious person? Or do you literally, I mean, maybe it's part of that, or do you literally see this need and you just are like, I have the ability, I am the person that should be doing this? Like, is it just part of your personality, or do you just see such a compelling need?
There are a lot of good TDs. Jeff and Steve are both great TDs. There are plenty of good TDs, but I really wanted to raise the bar with Worlds in terms of not just the added cash, but the spectator experience. World champions are showing up and they have parking spaces with their name on it. Um, we brought in over $30,000 just from parking revenue, and so setting that expectation for other events to say, we don't want to host Worlds because we can't make money off of it, or we can't even break even.
Yeah.
And I kind of tried to raise the bar. So that's one side of it, is I wanted to raise the bar. But the other side of it is that I really do just enjoy running large disc golf events. I mean, I've helped build and design a lot of these courses here, and it really is rewarding to have the best players in the world come here and cry, to be honest, when they throw their favorite. I'm kidding. So I'm kidding. But it's
It's a
it's
good
rewarding
feeling.
to see them come here and be in awe of Northwood Gold, or get frustrated at Eureka, or whatever it is. It's kind of cool. So
No, I've seen on your Instagram for the Ledgestone Insurance, you guys are building Eureka permanent course. Is that going to be installed by the time the Ledgestone Insurance Open happens this year?
yeah, we actually already have a permanent course there. We're just redesigning it,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I'm looking at my calendar right now. It'll be done here in a few weeks,
Yep.
so in time for Ledgestone. And then we've been designing and building for the last 9 months another course in Morton, and that's opening here in 2 weeks. So
Nice.
we're actually probably finishing it tomorrow
So
and Saturday. So yeah.
will that completely take out Eureka temp course?
Oh no, the I think I will always use the temp course at Eureka,
Nice.
just because, and I know some people don't like it and some people love it.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a great for galleries, great for filming.
I was gonna say for
There's really,
spectator
yeah.
friendliness, like we have MVP Open at Maple Hill, and that's very hard to have a spectator friendly environment there because of all the woods that the pro players are going to. But when you see these tournaments on ball golf courses or some of the European tournaments, like Ledgestone now has that ability to have an incredible gallery. Like you said, over 2,000 people on the final day. That's insane for a tournament that's happening here in America.
Yeah, people love Northwood Gold, and the MPO players are playing there this year. But there's some holes out there where really I can't even fit like 25 people in the hole. In fact, I can't fit any on the
Yeah,
hole and be safe.
exactly.
And that's
Especially when
even
you have the
before
top card and
COVID.
filming.
So
You know.
yeah.
Do you feel like, and I didn't have this question in our notes, but I thought about it, I don't know, a week or two ago. Do you feel like disc golf is going to turn a little bit more golf-esque in terms of viewing as a participant, not as a participant, as a viewer, um, and a fan, to be more like golf in the sense that you more or less get a ticket to stay at a hole or like a green? Like, that's what I'm going to watch for this tournament. Um, do you ever see that being something like? Have you even thought about that idea, or is there just not enough fans yet out at the course?
I don't think we're there yet. I think, even the Masters, I mean, you can get a ticket at general admission. It's just wherever you put that seat down and you're there the rest of the day because you want to have a good spot. But I
Yeah.
don't think we'll see that, but I do think we'll see more big tournaments go to courses that are more open air. You have the European Open, they can fit thousands of spectators.
Yeah.
You have the USDGC, you have my event, you have the San Francisco Open on an open air course.
Yep.
Fox Run at Smugs is one of the two courses there that's, that one's open air. You're probably going to see, and you see the Preserve this weekend in Minnesota, open air course.
Yeah.
So I think, and GBO, open air course. So I think you're going to see that become more of the norm, even though my favorite course in the world is Maple Hill.
And I was and I appreciate you saying that. I think Maple Hill comes up every single week on this show. One, because we live here.
Yeah.
But two, because people bring it up as well. And I was just going to go to that. So someone in our comments just said, tell that to the 8 holes. Now, last year that was Brandon.
Yeah, I was just about to say Sully's comment about the 8 holes.
Yeah, and that's Brandon.
When we talked about, people buying a pass to sit at one spot, there's so many great holes you can do that at Maple Hill. You can do 1, 8, 14, 18. It's insane.
Exactly. And so I actually think, and you were just making me excited for Steve Dodge's sake, well, maybe, it's going to turn into more of an exclusive venue because the history is there that I don't think the event will ever go to the wayside just because of the history. I do think, though, they are going to have to get creative, and I think maybe they will start selling passes for 8 and the Hill at 13 and 11 and hole 1, and I think that might actually be something, and just like the demand, right? If the demand's there and the product's limited, like, hey, $50 to watch. I mean, if we have to limit it to 400 people on the course, I mean, I'm just saying that's really interesting topic. So you will see.
Well, Maple Hill is the exception to what I just said, though.
Right.
So, and there are a few courses maybe that would qualify, but Maple Hill is. I've played that tournament at least twice, and I've played the course 2 other times. That tournament is an exception to the rule I just said.
Okay, would you do this for us? And we're getting ready to wrap this up here, but we're going to let you do something because you just brought up Maple Hill, and we're giving away for Steve Dodge. He said he'd give away because we reached 500 subscribers on YouTube. Would you go ahead and pick a number between 1 and 500?
I'm going to say 47.
Okay, 47. I do not have a name yet, anybody, and don't try to figure out how I'm going to use that number. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go through the subscriber list, and I believe I'm going to probably go find number 47th subscriber, so really early on, and we will announce that, whether we make a post in social media or next week we'll give a name, but that is who is going to win that birdie disc golf game. Thank you, Steve Dodge, for giving that away. Thanks, Nate, for picking the winner. Is there anything you'd like to say in parting ways here?
Just make sure to go vote. So if you're a PDGA member, you should have already gotten a ballot. And if not, you'll get it soon. It could go to your spam. Even if you don't vote for me, just vote.
Just use your right.
If you are going to vote for me, I would go ahead and do me and the other. Just type my name in too. So
what about somebody who's expired their membership? If they renew right now, do they get to vote?
They probably wouldn't get the ballot, but they could contact the PDGA office and then get a ballot that way.
And maybe I shouldn't talk about this loophole, but I've got multiple kids that have a PDGA membership too. Maybe we'll just all go to you.
I mean, I do bribes, so
So email, potentially spam email. Is there anywhere else that people are finding these ballots so that they know where to go?
If they don't have an email, which is, I suppose, somebody in the world, I guess. They can contact the PDGA office to get a mailed ballot, which sounds weird, but I guess that's how our country does voting. That's not in person. So there is an option for a mail-in ballot.
Gotcha. And we kind of always, for whoever's on the show as our guest, we always give them a couple minutes or seconds to plug in all your social medias. Tell us, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Instagram at Ledgestone Open and then Facebook at Ledgestone Insurance Open.
Sweet.
And that's it. I don't tweet or any of the other platforms. What are they TikToking now? So all I do is are those. That's all I have time for. I have an 18-month-old.
Yeah.
So
Next time I see you, Nate, maybe we'll make a TikTok, maybe just for fun to get you out on there.
Maybe.
No, we appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you a ton. It was a ton of good, insightful knowledge. Really quick, actually, before you leave, do you have any quick opinions on the CBS network before we have Jeff come on?
I thought it was awesome. If I had the same opportunity, I would 100% do something like that for Ledgestone. And I've already told Jeff that.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So I think anybody who's criticizing that, it's kind of baffling, considering that almost everybody in our sport for the last 10 years has said, we need to get on ESPN or a big network. And now they're saying, well, it's behind a paywall. And it's like, well, stuff's not free.
Yeah.
So
We're going to talk about this. So
let's grow the sport, but let's not spend any money growing the sport.
That's exactly where we're going to go with it tonight. So thanks for being on the show, Nate. I know you're probably getting ready to go on your holiday weekend or whatever you're doing. So enjoy a happy 4th of July. Stay safe. And thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take it easy, Nate.
Bye.